I'd like to offer some thoughts on the Tyre Nichols killing. Tyre Nichols is a black guy, lived in the area of Memphis, and on January 7th of this year, he was in his car, according to police, driving recklessly, although we haven't seen any video of that. The police, nevertheless, and this part of it is on video, they pull him over, and then they walk up to the car and yank him out of the car and tell him to get on the ground. He seems to be complying. He says, okay, man. And while he's on the ground, they tase him. They hit him with a taser, at which point I think natural flight kicks in and he begins to run. So they chase him down and unbelievably beat him to death. So this is, anyone who's seen the video, Debbie and I watched it. I'd watched one version of it yesterday. I watched another version this morning. It's really hard to justify. In fact, Debbie's reaction where she goes, well, this is worse than what Derek Chauvin did to George Floyd. This is inexcusable. However, the policemen, the 4 cops who did this, were black. There wasn't a white policeman involved at all. And so for the left, this has become a little bit of a problem. Obviously, it is a clear case. I think it's a clear case for anyone who sees the video of police brutality. And the arrest of these 4 cops and the 5 cops, Debbie says, 5 cops, who apparently are going to be charged with kidnapping and with second-degree murder. Now, the kidnapping, to me, is a little weird. It's true that they sort of pulled him out of the car and one could argue took possession of him, but I don't think that really makes any sense. They weren't kidnapping him. But the second-degree murder charge, in other words, cops out of control, that is quite evident if you watch the footage. But this is black on black. And in a city where the police captain, I saw a statement that she made, black woman, mayor of the city is black, so it's a black political establishment. So this is police brutality, but it's not race. It's not a racial issue. But for the left, it has to be a racist issue. It has to be a racial issue. So how do you make a non-racial issue into a racial issue? Well, the short answer is that you argue that white supremacy operates its machinations in such a way that it can even make black cops behave in this way. And I saw a comment by Joe Walsh. It doesn't matter what race the cops are. It only matters what race Tyre Nichols was. Actually, the race of both matters. And you know why? Really for 2 reasons. The first one is the city of Memphis, this was a few years ago, back to 2020, implemented an expanded affirmative action program. It was a diversity program. Our police force is not sufficiently diverse, and apparently they felt that the old hiring standards were too rigorous. This always happens with affirmative action. You start hiring people who don't meet the standards. Who knows what the level of training is that's given to those people? And then on top of that, this is the point that Debbie was making, and she's like, listen, the left's hostility to the idea of the cops, defund the police, demoralize the police department. And so as a result, in high crime cities, and by the way, Memphis is a dangerous town. We were there, 2 months ago, I guess it was, maybe a little longer, last summer. And there was a little Memphis kind of seafood restaurant that was just 2 blocks from our hotel. And yet the moment Debbie and I stepped on the street, just to walk 2 blocks, we felt suddenly this kind of, that queasy feeling you just get when you feel a little unsafe. You're sort of looking over your shoulder. You're just uneasy about it because it's not a safe environment. So this is obviously not going to be an easy job for cops to function in. I'm quite sure and you see this on the video, the cops are in a hair trigger mode. I mean, they will take. They are ready to move, ready to act, and quick to act. And I would argue in this case, clearly precipitous action. I mean, there was no reason to tase that kid. There was no reason to beat him like that. And at one point, Tyre Nichols calls out to his mom. I mean, it's downright heartbreaking. It's almost hard to watch. It's important for us to realize that for those of us who we back the blue, but we don't back the blue indiscriminately. We back the blue for protecting us, for doing their job, for following their training, for keeping us safe in all senses of the term. I mean, I wouldn't feel safe if I was driving in Memphis and felt the cops have the right just to pull me over. No Miranda rights, no turn over your license, just drag the guy out of the car, start, tasing him, beating him. This is ridiculous. This should not be allowed. This has got to be stopped. And it's got to be stopped through accountability. So I'm glad accountability does appear to be occurring here. I have a lot more to say about this case, but there's a lot of other stuff going on in the news. So I'm going to pick it up tomorrow and go into it in more detail.